Rocky Mountain fortresses have leveled into flatlands, and the miles are getting longer, driving into the horizon. I wonder if you're thinking about me out there on the west coast, about that night we walked through Ambleside and stayed out past our bedtimes. You keep surprising me with your gentle talk and poetry. I think it's true, I'm really missing you. Fields turned into forests as we head into Ontario. The trees are still hesitant to show us all their colors. If I'm honest, I'm still doubtful about sharing all my secrets, but the feelings quickly vanish as you talk down my defenses. You keep surprising me with your gentle talk and poetry. I think it's true, I'm really missing you. Oh, I think it's true, I'm really missing you. You keep surprising me with your gentle talk and poetry. Oh, you keep surprising me with your gentle talk and poetry. I think it's true, I'm really missing you. Oh, I think it's true, I'm really missing you.
All right, I'm good to go.
How you been?
Good, doing really well. Yeah, it's been a crazy time
Is
the
it?
past few months, but hanging in there.
Okay. And
Yeah,
so
working.
tell us a bit about it. I mean,
How are you doing?
We're doing well here on this side, eh? We're doing all right. How are you guys going with the lockdown? And do you guys have lockdown on your side?
We don't have like an official lockdown.
Okay.
And where I live, it's a really small community, so
Yes.
but people are quite vigilant about, protocols and health protocols. We have a lot of older folks here, so
Yes.
a more vulnerable population, but still able to get outside and hike and
Oh, that's
go to the
nice.
beach, which is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, very thankful for that.
And music-wise, how has it
Yeah.
affected you? Has it affected you or not really? From a musical point of view.
Sorry, what was that?
I say from a musical point of view, how has that affected you?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's been interesting. I haven't had a lot of shows. I didn't have a lot of shows planned
Yes.
for this time, but a few in the spring that got canceled. At first they got postponed, and then they just got canceled. So, I feel like I wasn't as hard hit as some of my friends who had full tours planned. Their whole summer was booked. They were going to be on the road the whole time. So that's been a big adjustment. But it was kind of, I recorded a new album right before the whole world shut down. So first week of March, basically, I was in my house recording and then kind of watching the news come in as we were doing it. And my producer left and then everything just went crazy. I was like, well, that was good timing in some senses. So I've just been working on, I've been working on the behind the scenes part of things, kind of getting things ready to release. And so it's, I feel really grateful. I know a lot of musicians have, been impacted in far greater ways. But it has definitely been interesting. I haven't written or played much for the past few months. So kind of waiting or just like hoping to get the inspiration back and the muse back. But I have, I'm playing in his backyard next weekend. So that will be nice for so.
And how has the process of the album gone? Are you happy with what it's coming out with?
Sorry, you're cutting out a little bit. What was that?
I was asking with the album that you've now finished up with. Can you tell a little bit about the process of it?
Yeah. It was a bit different than other albums that I've done, more just much smaller. So I just recorded it at my house. One of the producers who worked on Dearestly, Josh Gwillem, he came out from Calgary and he just brought a few pieces of gear, some mics. We set up in my home studio, so it was very low key. I had a few friends join me and play, drums and bass and guitar, but for the most part, it was just working up in the studio, and it was really nice to just do it at home. Kind of pare things down a little bit, really simple production. Much less like big and bombastic than the last album.
But your sounds nice when it's simplified. I must say that.
Yeah.
Your
Thanks.
voice and everything comes, because your voice is like a predominant instrument in your music.
Right. Yeah, and that's kind of what we wanted to kind of just bring the songs back to their core of like the voice, the main instrument, and just like telling the stories.
Yes, which is also
it was
telling stories.
it was a beautiful process. Yeah, thanks. And the songs are quite personal. The past 4 years have been a little crazy. Well, not too crazy, but a few years ago, I got divorced, and so there's a lot of personal change. So even just being able to like be in my home and like tell those stories and feel the emotion, but come at it from a very peaceful place and very grounded, was really nice. And I feel like it just kind of wrapped up that whole season of life in such a beautiful way. So, which was great, because now sharing those with the world, it's like, wow, these are very like personal songs, but I'm excited to let people hear them, let them into that part of the journey, and then people can take them for their own journey and whatever they're kind of going through.
So you said this album's going to have a bit more vulnerability to it, or at least from a personal perspective. I think just allowing myself to be a bit more honest with my lyrics and my writing, and a lot of the songs were written like as I was trying to process things, and so they're a bit more raw, and raw in feelings and emotions, or just raw like in the sound, like raw in the feelings and emotions.
Oh yeah, raw in all ways. Definitely like in the sound, but also just like in the lyrics and the writing of it too. Lots of just asking, lots of the songs are just asking questions, with at all stages of the process, when you're kind of moving on from a relationship, like feeling the tension of like, is this over or is there still hope? And then even finding new love, like is this real, or is this like, where are we going from here? So all of these, it's kind of, I think the whole album just in general kind of holds those things in tension of being unsure, but also like, kind of that in-between place of like looking at the past, but looking forward. And, you know, kind of coming to terms with the past and acceptance, and then moving forward in a good way, and embracing the unknown and whatever is ahead. So there's some, you know, joyous moments, there's some questioning moments, kind of the whole gamut of of emotion, and through the music and the lyrics.
A lot of people who are watching the show don't really know who Lauren Mann is. Not because you're not popular or anything, just you know, some people might not know who you are. Who is Lauren Mann? Who is Lauren Mann? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, I'm a songwriter and musician, but I also I live on the west coast of Canada on a little island. I love being outside, so I spend, you know, a lot of time hiking or being by the beach or on the water. I've recently got a sailboat, so I've been doing some sailing. So I guess my greatest passions are being with my friends and family, writing music and all things to do with music, playing with others and collaborating, and just enjoying the outdoors. I find a lot of my inspiration just in those moments when you're outside, breathing in the fresh air, and just, you know, being in the groundedness of nature, and it just kind of gives the mind space to think and process, and for ideas to come up. So I also work, my day job is for an arts organization, so I get to plan classes and workshops and events for our local community in not just music, but visual arts and film and dance and all sorts of things. So I love getting to work in the community and be involved that way, and kind of broaden my artistic horizons in a sense. So yeah, that's a bit about me.
Now you say you're from Canada. What is one of the favorite, if somebody had to, like, let's say a person like me wanting to move to Canada, what did you say, or one of the things I should go and look at, or one of the sort of shining stars of what Canada's about?
Oh man, Canada's a huge country. But I'm definitely biased to the West Coast. Okay. I love living out here. I think it's probably one of the most beautiful places in the world. But if you had to just spend like one day in Canada, I'd say either go to the Rocky Mountains, like Lake Louise or Banff, or just drive through there. It's so spectacular. I've done it hundreds of times, but it never gets old. Or come to the West Coast and go to like Tofino or somewhere on the west coast of the Vancouver Island. It's just really rugged. The coastline is beautiful and rocky, and a little bit wild. And so those are two of my favorite places to be, either in the mountains or by the water.
So where are you living? Is it down south or up north?
It's one of the most southern parts of Canada. Western Canada, I guess. But it's, just basically off the coast of Vancouver. Okay.
I've heard Vancouver's got sort of similar climate to my city, Port Elizabeth. You know, it's got the...
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. There you are. Okay.
Yeah.
And again, with where you're living and stuff like that, what are some of sort of your hobbies that you like to sort of do outside of your music? Now, you said you like sailing. Where did that come into play? I mean, when I look at it, I don't see somewhere you go sailing. But where did that passion start?
Well, it's funny. Actually, a few years ago, I was filming a music video for the song Brave Face, not in BC, in Ontario, with a friend, so kind of across Canada. And the filmmaker who was doing the video and directing, he had this vision of me on a sailboat for part of the song. And so he had a friend with a boat out in Georgian Bay, and we went out and went sailing. And the video was me like pulling up the sails and kind of doing the act of sailing, which I had never done before. I had been on a few sailboats with some friends, but sorry, I hope that's not too loud. I'm getting some work done on my deck. But yeah, so I was sailing. The captain of the boat was on the boat at the same time, but I was pulling up the sails and being filmed, and which was a little nerve-wracking. But then we, turned the motor off and we're just moving through the water with wind power, and it was such an amazing experience. And from that moment, I was like, I need to do more of this. So it took a few years, but my partner and I bought into a boat this year, and with a friend, so we share it with a friend.
Okay.
And we've been heading out. It's great sailing around our island and the area where we live. So we've been out a lot, mostly day sailing and just getting out into the water. And it's a very intuitive, you have to know a lot, there's a lot to learn about the wind and the tides and just how to sail. But then you really just have to feel it and feel what the wind is doing and feel, what the boat's doing. And so I'm enjoying the learning process of that.
Do you guys need a skipper's license to go to do a little boat like that, or not really in your country?
Well, we have you need a boating license. It's just a generic boating license.
Okay.
Our boat is on the smaller end of sailboats, so it's a little 23 foot. So it's, we can, go overnight in it, but it's just a little guy. But we enjoy it.
Yeah. And I suppose, like you see these movies where you see Canada's lakes all nice and smooth and like almost like glass. Is that most of the time like that? Very picturesque?
It was very picturesque. It's not always like smooth like glass, but but sometimes I do some paddleboarding as well, so stand-up paddleboarding, and I've gone out a few times on the ocean, and it's there's not a lot of wind, and it's just beautiful and glassy. And that's an amazing thing about the water, I find, is it can be like that, but then a storm comes in and it's so powerful and you can't.
Seems like you really
kind of scary,
love being outside. Very passionate for the outdoors.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, totally. I guess. Yeah. It's a big
nice
passion.
stress reliever as well, being outside.
Sorry?
Nice stress reliever to be outside as well.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, and I'm really grateful that during these uncertain like COVID times, just being able to even go for a walk or get outside has been very helpful for sure.
Can I be honest? You look a lot lighter than the last time I spoke to you. In just terms in
Oh,
the way
really?
Yeah, you do. You look very happy.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, must have been like quite a few years ago.
Yeah,
but yeah, I
that was very, very long time ago already. I can't even remember how long.
Yeah, totally. But I appreciate that. Yeah, I feel like I feel that. I feel a lot very light. Yeah.
Okay, no, that's good. Yeah, because we still listen. My wife is a big fan of yours, for instance. We listen to Lauren Mann and the Fairly Odd Folk.
Fairly Odd Folk. Yeah. Nice.
Is yours carrying another sort of acronym like that, or is it just going to be Lauren Mann? Your new album?
Just Lauren Mann. Yeah. I still have friends that I play with.
Yes.
And I did a little tour last year from the West Coast out to Toronto, and had a few friends with me. So we had, there were 4 of us all together. And yeah, so and that was kind of always the spirit of the Fairly Odd Folk, was just whoever was joining in and lending their talent.
Yes.
But it feels a bit more cohesive to just move forward just under Lauren Mann. The Fairly Odd Folk kind of had its time, and when we were touring lots and playing lots of shows all over the place. But yeah, it feels good to just move on and just keep it a bit simpler.
And the title of your new album, what's that called?
It's called Memory and Desire.
Okay, and obviously that's going back to the memories of past memories, or that's sort of like the title. Yeah,
totally. It's actually taken from a poem by T.S. Eliot It's just like a line in the first part of the poem.
Okay.
And I read it and I just thought it kind of captured the idea of kind of in that middle space of like looking back, but also looking forward. And, you know, being in a bit of a time of transition and yeah, kind of processing the past, but also like feeling hopeful for the future.
Okay.
So.
And you know, saying looking forward, what is it that you sort of in your mind's eye would you like to see happen going forward?
That's a good question. You know, I mean, it's hard to like totally pinpoint that, but I mean, I don't know, you know, what my career looks like as a musician, but I know that I'll always be writing and putting out music. I can't really help that. So I would love to keep doing that. And yeah, and just I think continue to be settled and find peace and happiness in whatever life looks like. And yeah, I guess that would kind of sum it up.
Okay. And I mean, obviously knowing you now from a couple of years back now and seeing what you've gone through and all the processes of change with the music and everything, what advice would you give anybody else today just out there looking forward and thinking of what we're going through a very strange era as a world, as an entire world. What sort of advice would you give somebody out there now who might feel a little bit down by all of this?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, trying to think off the top of my head. One thing that has really kind of stuck with me that a friend told me when I was facing a lot of like tough decisions and just a difficult part of life, they said they just reminded me to follow peace. And that has stuck with me and kind of thinking like sometimes, you know, in making decisions and we feel like we have to go in a certain direction, but it might not make sense. Whatever our kind of gut feeling is, like if we feel peace about it, that's a good direction to go in. So that's been a kind of a guiding principle of my life the past few years is what is giving me peace. And if it's not, then I should probably let it go. Okay. And also just to, you know, that and also take deep breaths. That always helps. Take a moment, take 2 deep breaths, and things will be okay.
I think it's an important quality to be able to stop oneself and just take a bit of a breath, you know, before going forward.
Totally, yeah. Yeah.
And I don't think many of us do that. We get so caught up in life that we forget to do that sometimes. We forget to breathe. Yeah.
I forget to breathe all the time, so I have to remind myself, okay, just inhale and exhale.
Oh, listen, it's so nice speaking to you again. Now with this new album, are you going to try and, through promoting it, where can people, once again, when is the release date, should I say?
October 16th.
Okay, so it's still quite a while. Where can people find you on the internet and things if they want to just try and explore even some of your older music?
Yeah, well, it'll be out. The first single is coming out this next Friday, but the album will be out in October on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, kind of all the digital platforms. And then also on my website, I'll have CDs and vinyl, and happy to ship those anywhere in the world.
I think we might just have to order it from you. I want to buy it.
Sounds good.
It's actually amazing. I see a lot of artists turning to vinyl again.
Yeah, it's still a bit of a niche market, but I think, you know, I really like getting new albums that way because you can feel it. It's like big format, and then, you know, I'll listen on Spotify or, you know, digitally. Move here. So yeah, I really like getting music that way.
Okay. Yeah, because I like vinyl, but actually it comes across a lot more warmer.
Yeah, totally.
You know, and that's why I like listening to, specifically like your more folk-oriented bands on vinyl, because folk has got like an earthy sound to it. So then it just sounds so much better when it's got this nice warm texture to it.
Totally, I agree. And I just got the test pressings for the new album, and I listened through it, and it sounds really nice. I was very, very pleased. It really captures the warmth and all the tones on
Yes.
the album. So yeah,
What
I think it'll be
what
a good
instruments
vinyl album.
What instruments did you use on the album?
So interestingly, like in the past, I've been more piano based,
Yes.
but this album is a lot more acoustic, which is a new kind of direction.
Yeah, definitely.
I got a couple years ago, I got a tenor acoustic guitar. So it's a 4-stringed acoustic, a smaller, kind of like the size of a parlor guitar.
Yeah.
And most of the songs I wrote on that. So it has a bit of a different sound, but still some piano songs as well. And then drums, bass, guitar, and then some organ and synthesizers, and vocals, but that's pretty much it. So a bit more stripped down, but just kind of the core of the core instruments. So
Okay. And you probably got friends involved with backup vocals, or is there backup vocals as such on the album?
yeah, I did a lot of the harmonies myself, but then I had a few friends come in and we did like a little choir for some background vocals.
Yeah.
So that was really fun. And one of my friends who did the tour with me last year, she came and played electric guitar on a bunch of songs.
Okay.
So yeah, and then a friend in Calgary did the drums, and my producer played bass.
Okay.
So yeah, it was a community effort, but nice and small, and yeah.
And at home. Like you said.
And at home, yeah, which was great. It was so nice to record at home, and then while Josh, my producer, was mixing or editing, I'd run downstairs, grab some snacks, and to make some tea, and yeah, it was wonderful.
And what is your sort of like writing process? You know, some people like myself, I like to write the music itself first before I put lyrics even to it. What sort of the processes that you go through when you do a song?
I think it's a little bit different for every song, but yeah, sometimes I think a lot of the songs for this album, I did start with the music first, just kind of messing around on the guitar or playing piano, coming up with like some chords or like a bit of a melody, and then finding the lyrics to kind of fit that. And a lot of that happened like very quickly. So I'd be writing, some music, and then the lyrics would just start to come quite naturally, and would mostly be like a reflection of kind of what I was thinking or processing at the time. And then kind of just working with both the music and lyrics to see where the song wants to go and how that happens. One of the songs I co-wrote with my producer.
Okay.
We actually wrote
one of my
it,
next questions
like,
was going to be around that. Yeah, okay.
Okay, yeah.
Just this in
Yeah,
terms-
it's the first.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Sorry, what was that?
No, I'm saying this. Yeah, no, you carry on going with your producer. You're saying you co-wrote.
Yeah. We a couple years ago. Actually, it was shortly after we recorded Dearestly. I went back to the studio where he worked, and we wrote the song, and it just kind of sat for a few years, and then it kind of came back up when we were starting to get ready for this album, and ended up we put it on the album, and so it's the first time we've written a few songs together, but this is the first time that a song I've co-wrote with someone has been on an album, so that's a new thing, but it was a really fun experience doing that too. So
yeah, because my question was very similar to that, but I was wanting to actually know, like, when sometimes we write a song and then we sort of bounce it off friends or family or sometimes something like that. Do you do some things like that, or to try and mold your song or articulate, or you just say, "Hey guys, this is it. This is how it's gonna go."
Yeah, I think in the early stages of writing, I keep the songs really close, so I don't often share them with anyone.
Yes.
But then, especially with kind of this batch of songs, I spend so long like writing them and then working on them, because I wasn't sure when I was going to record an album. So I was working on them for a couple of years.
Okay.
But then I did send them all to my producer, kind of doing some pre-production and to get his feedback on them. And so we went through them and did some minor tweaks, but most of the writing process was very, very solitary, which is kind of how I normally work. Sometimes I'll share them with someone who's like close by and like, well, what do you think? I just wrote this. Like, what are your impressions? But for the most part, it's a very, very solitary process. So, yeah, lately I've shared a few like newer songs with my partner, and that's really fun. He's not a musician. Well, he's learning guitar, but he's not like a career musician.
Yeah.
So it's fun getting his perspective as someone who's a bit.
Yeah, I like that too. I like to give it to people that my songs, at least, to people who aren't really music orientated even.
Totally. Yeah.
Because you get the most honest feedback,
like objective perspective.
Yeah, and how, what are some of the ways you handle? Sometimes we write a song, we think, hey, we got the greatest song in the world, and you give it somebody says, I'm sorry, it doesn't sound as cool as you think it does. What are some of your processes around things like that? How do you handle yourself when somebody because as musicians we put our heart and soul into these things. It's like on our sleeve.
Totally.
How do you process those kind of moments?
Yeah, I think that's something I've had to learn over the years. Because as songwriters tend to like be very like attached to songs, and it's really hard to let things go. So I think I need to spend enough time with the song myself to where it's like, okay, I think this is okay, or I'm not really sure and I want to get feedback on it.
Yes.
And I think by the time that I'm ready to show someone and ask for their honest feedback, I've had to learn to accept the criticism that like maybe it's not the best song, but then there's probably another song that will be totally just fine.
Yeah.
But also I've been surprised sometimes where like I'll be overcritical of my songs. I'm like, oh, this one I'm not sure about, don't really like it, probably not going to make the album. And then someone will be like listen through or a producer will listen through and they're like, that song needs to be on the album. I don't see it, but so it's kind of sometimes it's the opposite too, like trusting someone else's viewpoints, either way, if it's positive or negative. But yeah, it's a lot of letting go, and a lot of these songs, because they're just so personal to me, I think it was good for me to have a few years to like write them and work on them, and then feel ready to like, okay, now I can let them go and just let them be kind of their own entity. They're not really mine anymore. They, I've recorded them and now they can go into the world and take on their own life, life as a song. So, yeah.
And hopefully, probably go out and then obviously then you're going to tour and things like that. What is some of the live, I mean, obviously musicians like playing live. It's part of the thing of sharing a song with somebody else. What is some of your favorite moments of a live performance?
Oh, I think anytime like I play live and someone comes up after the show and says like, wow, that like just how much that song impacted them. That's so meaningful to me. I remember writing a song. This wasn't a live experience, but I wrote a song about Christmas and missing my family on Christmas, and I just shared it online. And it was like, I'm like, oh, I don't know if people will relate to this because it's, about me and my family. But so many people wrote me back and said, wow, I totally have had a similar experience, and I really related to this song. So it was a good reminder that, songwriters write often for themselves, but then you put the song into the world and people take it and attach their own meaning to it. And I think that's a really meaningful thing. And also I think my favorite live moments are when people sing along. It's like so surprising that, you know, people would like know the songs and be able to, and want to sing them. And I just love that. It's so fun. Wow. So that's happened a few times and it's really enjoyable.
and coming close to the end now of the show, I just want to ask some random questions to you. You can answer them in a single word or whatever. First question. Where in the world would you love to go and visit that you haven't visited yet?
A place that's been on the top of my list for a long time is Morocco. I would love to just wander the streets and look at the markets in Marrakesh. And yeah, it's a place that I've never been to and would love to explore.
Next one. What's your favorite... You felt like you're on a panel. Next question. What is your favorite food type? What do you enjoy eating? What is your relaxed food?
Which food?
Your comfort food.
Oh, comfort food. Oh, well, I have a few. I love food. I love like tacos and like authentic Mexican food. Probably my favorite like ethnic food group. Also, I think my ultimate comfort food is pierogies.
What's that? I've never heard of that.
Oh, it's
Never heard of it.
pierogies. I wonder if there's another name for them. It's like a Eastern European like stuffed dough, I guess. So kind of like a dumpling.
Yeah.
But it's like dough stuffed with like potatoes and cheese or meat. And then you boil them or you can fry them. It's very good.
Sounds tasty. Yeah.
Yeah. Very carb heavy, but very good.
I don't think you have to worry about carbs. But anyway, then the last question, what kind of music do you like to listen to?
Oh, that's a good question. I've been listening to actually more music than usual because I got Spotify recently. And so I enjoy like finding new artists that way. I really enjoy, I tend to gravitate to more mellow, like alternative pop kind of music. Lots of like local artists from Canada, but also kind of love discovering things from all over the place. But yeah, more on the mellow side of things. But then sometimes I'll be in the mood for like a good upbeat jam and just need like, you know, some Taylor Swift or something to kick things up a notch. But for the most part, like, like alternative pop. I've also been listening to a lot more like classic like jazz standards in the past few years, and just learning kind of some of those songs and just trying to like familiarize myself with influential music, because I didn't grow up listening to a lot of that. So listening to some, you know, female artists like Beth Orton is like a folk artist. And who else? Lots of old jazz stuff, some more folky music, and just anything with like a good melody and something that is like hummable. I'm into. So
you seeing the whole interview going past now, I kind of get a picture of you being one of those people that probably walks alongside the beach humming a song.
Yeah, that's not too far off.
But you definitely, it's nice to see Lauren, and seeing with a big smile and seeing a lot more happier and shiny and not so stressed. I think I also caught you in the process the last time you were actually recording, I think at the same time, if I remember that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was in studio, I think the last time we had a conversation.
Right, yeah.
But that was Yonkers. I mean, that's years ago already. It's crazy how time has flown.
Time has flown, and lots of things have happened since then.
Yeah.
So, but it's great to see you too. Yeah, I'm glad things
great
are
catching up and things like that. I'll definitely keep an eye on what you're doing, and we'll be there supporting you. So thanks so much for having the few minutes here to share with me. And I'll definitely, when the album releases, like, we'll give it some time. I'd like to have you back on the show just to get your feedback on how the album's going and things like that, you know? I think it'd be nice.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I'd love that.
And we'd like to promote the album ourselves as well. So when I see it released, I will definitely share it on my platforms and things like that as well. Just
cool.
To help it
That'd be
around.
great. Yeah, I'd love that. Yeah, I'll send you all the info and all the deets for that.
Okay, that'd be great. Thanks, Lauren. Keep well, eh?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Yeah, you too. Say hi to the family.
I will do. Cheers.
Awesome.
Okay.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Who are you supposed to be? Are you slave or are you free? We watch the stars to find our way, but we're afraid of what they say. Set course in love, make stops on the way, frame all the finest memories. Set course in love, put your heart on the line. It's too late for playing it safe, so put on a brave face. Tell me something I don't know. Open up your heart and soul. We watch the stars to find our way, still afraid of what they say. Set course in love, make stops on the way, frame all the finest memories. Put your heart on the line. It's too late for playing it safe, so put on a brave face. Take it one step at a time. Set your sights on a distant horizon. You'll make it there someday. Do you even know where you wanna go? Are you happy now? Are you wanting more? Do you even know where you wanna go? Are you happy now? Are you wanting more? Nothing stays the same for very long. Everything's moving too fast to have a change of mind. Change of mind.